who could play all 32 of Beethoven's piano sonatas by memory at the age of only 10. Well, today I want to tell you about a French composer, organist, traveler, critic, scholar by the name of Camille Saint-Saëns. Cézanne was born in Paris in 1935, and when he was only a few months old, his father passed away. So he was raised by his mom, but also by his great aunt. And his great aunt was a very good musician, and she decided to instill that with him. So by the time he was 2, he could find notes on the piano. By the time he was 3, he was writing, composing very simple pieces. By the time he was 10, he was giving full concerts, including all of Beethoven's sonata by memory. As a teenager, he didn't only study music, he was a very smart boy besides being musically gifted, and he studied Latin and Greek and astronomy. He studied mathematics, he studied philosophy. He's the Renaissance man of his time. Also, as a teenager, he entered the Paris Conservatory. He was quickly known as being one of the most gifted musicians that they had. He absolutely worshipped Beethoven, loved him, not just the melody of Beethoven. He loved the sense of structural clarity that Beethoven has, but also he loved the beauty and the logic combined, the clarity and the emotional power. He had such a depth within himself that he loved how Beethoven portrayed that through his music. In 1857, he got a job as an organist for La Madeleine, which is one of the most prestigious churches in Paris. Franz Liszt heard him as playing organ, and he was improvising, and Liszt said, "Oh my God, this is the greatest organist in the world," and he was known as that from then on. And he had that job for 2 decades. It wasn't his only job. He continued to compose. So as I said, he is composing. He is not just composing one thing, right? He's composing concertos, sonatas, chamber ensembles, choral works, operas, tone poems. One of them is Danse Macabre. If you hear it, you would know it. This is an eerie depiction of death playing fiddle at midnight. One thing that sets Saint-Saëns apart from many of the other composers I've talked about, yes, he was at the top of his game as a composer, as a musician, as a performer as well, but he also was publishing articles, and he would study ancient music and write about that, and he would study about and write about orchestration, but also the physics of sound. He got into that and started writing about that, but also philosophy, astronomy. He was writing poetry, he was writing plays, he was writing essays, and none of these were just like an aside. He was at the top of his game at everything, and that's pretty impressive. Because he was so curious, he loved to travel as well, and we can hear that in his music. He went to Egypt, and then he hear the Egyptian piano concerto. He went to Algeria, England, Germany, Russia, all over Europe, but he went to Northern Africa, and we can hear in his music all the different places that he has been. It's fascinating. Now here's something funny or interesting. One of the pieces he's most well known for is a suite called The Carnival of Animals. It is so beautiful, and you've probably heard different parts of this without even knowing. But it was funny, and he wrote it kind of as a joke, and he wanted to be taken seriously. So he said, "Don't play this at all until I'm dead." But here he is, so now we play it, and it's one of the most beloved pieces that everyone loves, and also highly respected. Nobody would have lost respect for him here in the Carnival of Animals. The swan was the only one that was allowed to be played while he was alive, which is beautiful. It's beautiful. So as his career is going phenomenal, and he is able to dive into all these different curiosities he has and gets to study, his personal life was really sad. He met a lady, and they fell in love, and they got married. They had 2 boys, and both of them died. One of them fell out of a window, and the other one died pretty soon afterwards from pneumonia. And this became a thing between them that they never were able to resolve, and he ended up just walking out of his marriage and never returned. And for the rest of his life, he found a lot of solace in the music, but he was alone, so he poured himself into the music and into his writing and into his studies. A lot of his colleagues really admired him. A lot of other composers at the time just sang his praises, but he felt misunderstood. He continued throughout his life to perform and to compose until he was in his mid-80s, all the way up till when he died. He died in 1921. He was 86 years old, and he died in Algeria, which is far away from Paris where he started. He is so beloved. Go listen to some Camille Saint-Saëns.